my name is Matthew Smeal and I'm a photographer. I had the opportunity of going to Uganda in 2006, and because I was going to go across, I contacted Medecins Sans Frontieres and asked them if they had any projects that they would like me to cover while I was there. That project in Uganda at the time was centred around an area called Gulu, a town in the northern part of Uganda. The children being abducted at the time in Uganda was very much a northern area problem, and they were finding that there were many children, thousands of children every night in around Gulu and surrounding areas that were coming into shelters set up by Medecins Sans Frontieres to sleep. The idea being that they were safe. It was an area of safety for them, and they would be walking in up to 10 kilometres a night to sleep in the shelters so that the LRA wouldn't come through their villages and abduct the children. It was a time when the Lord's Resistance Army, the LRA, were quite active, and it was my first experience photographing, photojournalism at this level. So yeah, quite emotional for me. And to see where they were in particular, it was the back of a hospital, not a very big hospital, but there were just masses of tents set up. The tents that you would see at a refugee type of camp, and just full of children. And it was surreal, it was absolutely surreal. Trying to deal with that concept of having to take your children or have your children walk so many kilometres so they could sleep in safety and not be abducted was, yeah, it was quite frightening actually, very confronting. I'm always thinking of my family in those situations, and that's I guess in one sense why perhaps I don't go deeper into these kinds of stories than, or I don't go and photograph conflict as such, because I worry about the safety of my own family and worry about them too much. It gives me that perspective to walk through a camp like that and to be thinking about my own children and my own wife and our own way of life, and thinking, well, it's vastly different from here, and I don't have that level of anxiety. If I hear noise outside, my initial reaction isn't to grab my family and run, but it is for these people. That's why I want to do something about that. The first thing I did when I got back to Sydney, one of the first jobs I had to photograph a fashion parade, and it just did my head in. I nearly ran out of there screaming, listening to the MC talking about, you know, coming summer's fashions and must-haves and these kinds of things, and I was thinking, wow, a couple of days ago I was in, you know, a slum in Kenya, or I was, you know, in this shelter with Medecins Sans Frontieres, and looking at kids who were, you know, trying not to get abducted and be turned into child soldiers. And yeah, it's hard to kind of step off a plane and go straight back to work. I think one of the reasons I went into this kind of line of work, or do so when I can, is because I've always been very conscious of this, and you know, that justice in the world, or injustice in the world, and trying to wanting to see for myself, I guess. So yeah, for me it was going over and seeing it and documenting it and realising, yep, this is actually happening. This is you know. So in terms of change, yeah, so now I have seen it with my own eyes, and I have to say, well, it's hard to just carry on, you know. And I like to get home at the end of the day and try and think, well, you know, did my day matter, or did it not matter? Is someone going to have a better life today because of something I did, or a better life tomorrow because of something I did today? That's what I'd like to, well, that's what I hope for. For me, it was, yeah, time and time again, I just found myself photographing the people. And I guess that's part of my work, is to remind everybody that, you know, we hear some dreadful statistics all the time. And I was just trying to remind everyone, these are people. Every one of them could be your father, your mother, your son, daughter, neighbour, friend, whatever. These are people.